Hey, here we go. My name is Jeff Hansen, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in Silicon Valley in Northern California.
And my name's Arvin Predis, and I am also a licensed broker in Los Angeles, California.
How you doing, Arvin?
I am doing pretty good, really
Me too.
good.
Me too. It better be great to be on the video here. Together, we have a combined 40 plus years of full-time real estate experience. We've seen a lot, and we're here to share and learn and grow like everybody else. Arvin, why don't you get us started today?
Okay, cool. The topic for today is when you're meeting with a seller and they're asking you if they should do staging and who pays for it. How do you go through all
Wow,
that?
we're really doing this.
We're doing it. Yep.
That's getting very real.
Everybody does it differently. We should probably say that.
It's also something, in my experience, I've talked to lots of agents over the years. It's something agents tend not to talk about a lot. It's
Right.
almost
No,
like
they don't.
it's like a taboo thing, almost like plastic surgery. Not that I've ever had plastic surgery, but it's just something people just don't kind of talk about.
Yeah.
So, should we start? I'll share my thoughts on it. You want me to do that?
Yeah. Why do you think it is something that people don't like to talk about too much?
Well, I think that some agents spend a lot of money on things that they don't want to share how much they spend on. So agents are very forthcoming with their production awards. Like I did this many sales and I grossed this amount of money, right?
Yeah.
Gets you on stage, gets the award, but are not super forthcoming about expenses, especially if they're really big expenses, like maybe a huge amount on the internet lead generation or taking a lower commission. That's another thing that a lot of agents don't really like sitting around the office. Oh, I took a listing. Oh, what was your commission? Oh, 1%. No one's going to say that, even if they did.
No. Yeah.
So they also, I think, tend not to talk about staging or how they handle it. They'll talk about, oh, I got this great stager. The place looks fabulous, and it's also just kind of impolite to ask. I think, how do you? Is just something people don't do. How do you handle it? Who pays for it? So I think people kind of figure out on their own. But I've been a realtor for a long time. I've seen what I do. I have talked to other agents, and I've asked stagers how agents handle it. And I think it's all a little bit different because we can talk about the different options and maybe best practice might depend on the area. It depends on the area and the competition too. Like where both of us live currently, a high percent of properties are staged. Like a surprising amount. It's changed radically since I got into the business. It was very rare back then. Now it's common on almost every price range. So the
Yeah.
options are seller pays for it, you pay for it, the agent pays for it, you split it, and then when it's paid, some stagers you pay up front, some you might get you to pay through escrow. And there's a lot of variable in there. One thing I noticed this lot. So one quick story back in the 2008 when the market tanked. I saw a bunch of agents that had a lot of money into properties where they'd paid for repairs. That's another thing agents don't talk about a lot. Who pays for,
Mhm.
do you pay for repairs and reports? Um, but a lot of agents had a lot of money sunk into properties that weren't selling. And the thing about staging is that the money just gets larger and larger every week. So what I started doing at that time was telling sellers that I'll pay for. Well, it depends on the price range too, to be honest. If it's a really inexpensive property and the commission is relatively small, maybe split it. If it's a more expensive property, then typically I'm okay with taking out the commission, paying for it, but have them pay the cost up front and then reimburse at closing. So I'd be out of the commission, right? A reduced commission at closing by the amount. So I'm not out of pocket. If they decide not to sell, I'm not out, $5,000. Because that makes it a difficult decision with the seller if they just decide. Because what happened, like in that market when it slowed down, a lot of people just had a few listings that decide not to sell, and I supported that. It's a tough market, so they used me again when they did sell in the future, but I didn't have a lot of sunk money. That's my first pass at it. How about you?
I think it's a good I mean, I think it's good to maybe let the seller know that you're willing to work with them on it because yeah, no one shares their practices on what they do on how they handle staging, and there are a lot of agents out there that will just pay out of pocket. So all it takes is for them to meet that person, that agent, and to offer to pay for repairs. It's happened to me. They offer to pay for repairs and staging, and then they get the listing. So I think you should somehow work with them, whether it's them paying it up front, and then you, yeah, reimbursing them, at the close of escrow. Like you said before, there's when that happens, everybody's got skin in the game. So everybody's more motivated to, get the place sold for, the highest amount.
Yeah, yeah. And a conversation I've had with clients is, well, I don't want to pay up front for it myself, because then if for some reason you decided not to sell, like let's say you don't get the price that you want, or the market just stalls in 2 weeks, then I don't want to be an investor with you. If I invest thousands of dollars, now I'm an investor. I've taken myself out of being a consultant, looking out just what's good for you. Now I'm looking out for my own interest because I've invested in this property with you. Same thing for big repairs. Man, I've talked to agents that had tons of money they fronted for major repairs. One horror story, the seller just went sideways and wanted to hire a different agent. So how do you work that out? Very, very tricky. But
Right.
it's so market driven too, and what the competition is generally, and also in the moment what they might be facing competition from another agent. So I've oftentimes made, it's not hard and fast, but it depends on a little bit of the situation. Is going to sell quickly, right? Is it a market where everything's going to sell quickly? If it's slow, do you want to? You don't want to be on the tap for things that's going to accentuate every week the cost of staging.
Yeah. Also, I guess, how much of the home are we going to stage? Right. Like, are we going to do the entire home, or is it just one bedroom, one bathroom, and the living room? I think that's, yeah, getting a whole sense of what is ideal, and then maybe coming together and figuring out what is the best way to go forward is really important.
Well, I've in the past I used to say just stage one room, leave one vacant. I mean, in the past number of years, I've been more inclined to say just stage everything. It just looks better, The room that's set up as an office looks like an office. The kids' room looks like a kids' room. The master looks like a master. And all the bathrooms, just kind of everything, outside patio furniture. This is in a market where things are selling. I neither of us are in a situation where homes take 6 months. If you're watching this and you're in an area like that, that's a much more difficult conversation. I'd be concerned if everything takes 6 months, it would be challenging to shell out money that's going to take that long for in those markets. And maybe the staging is just not as common as it is here, right?
Yeah, but then there's the other side of it, where if things are selling in 2 weeks, why do we need stage? Right? Like, if everything is selling quickly, what's as long as the place is clean, and I
So
mean
a
the
seller
owner.
tells you that. A seller tells you, hey, everything's selling in 2 weeks. Why bother?
I guess I would also have to see what the condition of their home looks like, because even though things are selling in 2 weeks, if the home isn't kind of presentable, kind of up to par as those homes that are selling as quick, then we'd have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our clients have really nice furniture, and all they have to do is declutter, and it looks fine.
Well, that's a
And
whole other
especially,
decision of if they're there. I was thinking if it's vacant. If they're there, that's a whole other consideration of do you just work with what they have and kind of do a redesign and add some things, which is certainly worth it,
yeah,
or just encourage them if it's possible to move out
yeah,
and have it vacant, staged. There are other variables too with that. I mean, this is a whole other conversation, sort of, but they have pets. Do you have to work around the pets, or kids that are a mess, or are they just kind of messy people? In which case, they'd really benefit. Of course, it's up to them in the end. Everything sells at the right price. But the conversation about when a seller says, well, everything's selling in 2 weeks, I would say you're right. Everything is selling. But do you care about how much money you maximize? Right? Everything's
hmm,
selling, but not maximizing the price you're going to get. The difference between getting 5 offers and 10 offers. I mean, good marketing and good staging could make the difference of a real in this area. It could be, $100,000 as an example, or $50,000, which is real money, and it's a big multiple of the cost of the staging.
yeah,
So I found most people get that because they're looking at homes themselves. It's more common that people go online and see what the competition is.
yeah, makes sense. That's, yeah.
How about this conversation of do we encourage to stage or not?
If we encourage this to stage or not?
Hmm. And how hard do you encourage?
I I personally honestly will try to push for staging probably any property.
Mhm.
Maybe because I haven't been in a market where homes take 6 months to sell, so I assume that homes are selling within a couple months, couple weeks to a couple months. And I know that the best homes that look like model homes inside and outside are getting looked at first,
Mhm.
and people are moving quicker on those to make offers, right?
Yeah.
So I will always kind of try to feel them out, but also give my 2 cents in and just see what they say. And then off of what they say, work with that and suggest that we should move forward, or they pay, maybe let's just do the initial staging time, which is what, 45 to 60 days, right? Let's just do that. Let's just plan on that, and afterwards we can remove it, because anybody that was going to see it, that's excited about this, would have been in there during that time. And then we'll, and once we get in contract, I'll still reimburse you for that amount, if or split it with you, assuming that we still close escrow.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I would be the same. I highly encourage, unless it's a horrible market or something. The other side is, even in that market, if you price aggressively enough, you, even in any slow market, there's always people buying. In 2008, there were people that were buying. They were buying foreclosures. They were making low offers, but things were selling, and the banks places to sell quickly. They got multiple offers in 2009. They just priced aggressively. So I would always encourage it. I did just think of a listing where they had talked to a number of agents. It was kind of outside of my normal area. So I wasn't an expert there, but they hired me because the other agent had told her, "Oh, you have to stage. You have to do all this stuff." And her furnishings, kind of like you said, I said that looks. I mean, it probably everything would look better looking like a model, but your place looks pretty good. I mean, and she was just, the weight lifted. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do all this stuff. I said no, and it sold, and she got a price she was happy with. So it's kind of depend on the situation too, and the timeline. Do they want to wait to put that in, or that sort of thing, right?
Right.
Well, I guess I would say good luck in the staging wars. Staging is encouraged, but each case is different. And as with anything, we'd welcome comments or feedback or thoughts you have on your experience, or questions you have. Last comment or question, random thought.
Random thought, go out there and find some homeowners to talk to.
It's good to have a listing,
Get some
whether it's
listings.
staged. It's good to have a listing.
Yep.
Always good to have a listing. Okay. Thanks, Arvin.
Cool. Thanks.